So let's begin. Now you all are probably, I'm sure that you all have been through these word classes. Basically, you must have been taught this parts of speech in your school or colleges, but that term is not used anymore. So we prefer, that's an obsolete term. It is used in by a lot of people still, but word classes is the terminology that is used now. So, can you just stop and think how many word classes are there, or parts of speech, as you know? So, how many word classes are there? Can you just recall some of them that you have already studied by now? Okay. So, if you are able to guess most of them, then let's see the number of word classes that we have. So, we have 9 word classes: noun, verb, pronoun, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, interjection, and articles. Now, you again must be wondering that these are some of the things that you're familiar with. Probably my aim is not to teach you the conventional rules and the information that has been already delivered to you during your school or college life. I would just tell you something that I feel that you still are not aware of, and also when in the next week or somewhere towards the end of your semester, I give you a quiz, an online quiz. So I'll probably be including this topic as part of your MCQ. So I hope that you recall these word classes now, even if so many of you think that I already know this and I need to skip it. Please don't, because some of the things that I'll be telling you about each of these word classes is something that you won't be familiar with, I'm pretty much sure. So let's begin. And some of the things would be too basic as well. So let's see. We all know that noun, initially people used to describe noun as a name of a person, place, animal, or thing. But that is again an obsolete definition, and it doesn't include everything. So you simply understand that noun is a naming word. It names something. Okay. And let's discuss the common types of nouns. The first is common noun again. Okay, so we all know that when you're referring to a class of a person or animals or place, these are common nouns. You are not actually referring to someone specific. For instance, if I'm saying all the girls, now girls is a common noun. I'm not referring to any specific girl here, right? So it is used for a group, a common group of people or animals or places. Or if we say cities, right? So we are not referring to any specific city here, right? So this is a common noun. Or if we say countries, it's a common noun. So anything that is generic, that is general. So you are referring to something, a place or a group of people or maybe animals, but you're referring to something that is general and not something that is specific. So this is what you must keep in mind. As opposed to common noun, proper noun always refers to a specific person, a specific place, a specific animal, a specific thing, or anything that is specific. Okay, so for instance, I have seen in your exam copy that some of you have written your name with small letters. So if, for example, your name is Abdul Rahman, you are never going to use small letters for that, right? So it's always going to be capital A and capital R for Rahman. So don't make those kind of blunders. Similarly, I'm talking about something specific. So a lot of people wrote English subject or English language. They use this word English and they wrote it with small e. English is a specific subject. It's a specific language. So you'll always use capital word for a proper noun. Similarly, some people in their paragraph writing refer to some countries and they wrote it with small letter again. So if you're writing Turkey, it's never going to be with small letter. Now, these are very, very basic things, but still subconsciously, or because you are not used to writing, most of you people have committed these issues when they were when you appeared for your midterm examination. And I was kind of, really worried to think that you lack these basic understanding of language, because now you have to move to an advanced level. I would have been teaching you different types of essay writing right now, and I would be telling you about summary writing, but I have to take out time to teach you these are some of the basic things, because you have either not practiced that, you either did not learn that, or maybe you just do it because you don't pay attention to these things. But do not, please, get over of the common mistakes in related to English language that you have internalized. Okay. So you see, similarly, specific animal, it's always going to be with a capital letter, right? I hope that you all are know what is a collective noun used for a group of people or thing. For example, a team of player, um, um, a swarm of bees, so a pile, the words that represent that something is in group. So a class of something, right? So there are a list of collective nouns. You just Google it and you'll find a list in front of you. And I also hope that in your school life, when you were in your primary or secondary classes, you must have learned these categories. Okay. Now, abstract noun, we all know that it refers to feelings or ideas or qualities, right? Something that is specific. So now you understand that why we just say that it's a naming word, because it could name feelings, it could name ideas. So the definition that, it's a name of a person, place, animal, or thing, that is obsolete. That doesn't include or account for every category, right? So that is the main reason. So refers to feelings, and you all know that what feelings are. So honor, kindness. Okay, one more thing. See, there is a difference between adjective and noun. So if you say she's kind, now kindness is kind is you are telling someone's attribute, that is adjective. But if you say her kindness made her won um, hearts of everyone, or millions of hearts, so kindness is a noun, it's an abstract noun. But when you say someone is kind, you're basically referring to their attribute, their quality. So that is an adjective. So that it is also very important for you to differentiate between different word classes, especially noun and adjective, right? Because a lot of people confuse, they cannot identify if it's a noun or it's an adjective. So you must have that clarity. Okay. Now we have gender. For masculine and women and male, we use the pronoun he or they. And for feminine, women, girls, and female animals, she or they. And for inanimate things, uh, again, neutral, you are going to use neutral pronoun. Okay. Sometimes if you people read books or novels, you must have come through, you must have seen that sometimes people use feminine, pronoun for referring to ships or cars or countries. So in some context, or by some people, these are sometimes considered as feminine. So you must have seen that sometimes the writer is using the pronoun she for referring to these inanimate things as well. So this happens if you have read. And then we have countable noun, something that you can count, and uncountable noun, which are also known as non-count noun. And it's always written with either a or n. Now, what is the difference between a, n, and the is something that we'll be discussing later on when we reach to the slide of articles, because a lot of people again commit blunders when they're using article. So they don't know that whether they have to use the. Some people use the in with every other word, which is again a kind of a blunder. So you need to understand that you cannot use each article in every context. There is a specific context in which those articles are used. Okay, so whenever you're referring to non-count nouns or uncountable nouns, you normally not used with a or an. For example, um, a bit of news, a grain of sand, a piece of advice. So you either use it with in this way, like for example, a bit of news, because you cannot count news. A grain of sand, because when you say sand, sand is a non-count noun, you cannot count it. Advice is a non-count noun, you cannot count it. So like this. Okay. Now we have verbs, and verb are the words that expresses action, and this is not the only function of verbs. Sometimes they also help to make a statement. They help to complete a statement by linking it with by creating a link between subject and other parts of the sentence, right? So when there is one action verb, you all know that: drinking, sleeping, writing, studying, teaching. We all know that, right? So action verb basically expresses mental or physical action. So if you say he wrote the house, that is the physical action. But if you say he was learning or he was memorizing, that is the mental action. So any sort of action, that is a verb, right? But there are link verb. Now, if I say she's kind, right? So what is the verb in this sentence? A lot of people would say there is no verb, but this is not the case. There is a verb always, but there is no action going on. See, if I say she drinks coffee, now here the verb is very clear, an activity. We all can identify an action going on, that is drinking, right? And coffee, adverbial, right? So subject, verb, adverb. So now, but when we say she's kind, here there is no action going on. There is no action verb, right? Some people would term is as a helping verb. So you cannot consider is as a helping verb when there is no main verb. ठीक है, अब ये चीज आप लोगों को शायद नहीं पढ़ाई गई होगी. तो इस सेंटेंस में she is kind is basically a link verb that is linking the subject with the other part of the sentence. ठीक है, so this is a link verb. It is not a helping verb, or in this context it can also be considered as a main verb, because this is the only main verb in this sentence. This is the only verb in this sentence. ठीक है, but if I say she is helping her mother. Now here we have a main verb and we have a helping verb. Because there is a main verb, that is why another verb can be considered as a helping verb. For example, I'm saying she is helping her mother. Now help with ing form is a main verb, it's an action verb, it's a main verb, right? So here is not a link verb or not a main verb, because we already have a main verb, help, helping. So here is a helping verb. Okay, now you are getting confused because I have used helping in the example as well. But let's see, she's writing a letter. Let's suppose she's writing a letter. Now writing is an action verb. It's the main verb in this sentence, and it's with this ing form, and is supporting this verb. So is writing is the complete verb part in the sentence, but because we have a main verb writing and is supporting the main verb, so here in this context is will be called a helping verb. But if there is no main verb and I say she is asleep, right? She's asleep. So now is will be the main verb itself or a link verb. Or you can say she's upset. So she is a subject, is the main verb, and upset is you're telling about her, so you're modifying the subject, so it's an adjective or a complement, right? So always know that in some contexts when there is a main verb, is, would, is, or has, or have, will be considered a helping verb, but sometimes there is no main verb, and in such sentences there is no action verb, and in these sentences is or are themselves the main verb, right? For example, they are happy. So now are cannot be the helping verb. Are is the main verb, or it's the link verb. It's connecting the subject with the other part of the sentence, that is happy, and happy is a state or an adjective or a complement. Okay. Now we all know pronouns, that we use pronouns in place of a noun so that we avoid repetition. So consider a paragraph in which you're saying uh, Mary likes to paint. Mary paints really fine. Mary's drawing are really attractive. Mary is an amazing painter. So you see, if you keep on repeating the noun or the subject or the name of the person, so it becomes, the writing becomes very, it appears very childish, immature, and it is very monotonous. So you for the purpose of avoiding this sort of repetition, you use pronoun in place of the noun. Right? Now, you could be using it either for a person or a place or a thing or an idea, something that you have already referred to. So let's suppose in first part, or in first sentence of a paragraph, you have specifically named the person or the animal or the place you're talking about. For example, you're writing a paragraph on Karachi. So you have mentioned it, Karachi is a city of lights. And in the remaining part, you're telling more about Karachi. Now, because you have already introduced the noun, the proper noun, Karachi, now in the later part, you don't have to keep on repeating Karachi, Karachi, Karachi. You can simply use a pronoun, and obviously for Karachi, it's a name of the city, so you'll use it, right? For a person, depending on the gender, you'll use he or she. So basically the idea is to avoid repetition. Now, these are the 4 basic categories of pronouns that you must be familiar with. Personal pronouns: I, me, mine, hers, ours, we. So these are personal pronouns. Now we have indefinite pronouns. So anybody has it, anybody, everyone, everybody, another, someone, somebody. So you're not, again you're not referring to someone specific. So these are known as indefinite pronouns, right? For example, everyone is absent today. Now and mostly it's considered singular. So everyone is absent today. Now everyone is indefinite pronoun. We are not referring to anything definite. Okay. Now we have demonstrative, or these are also called demonstratives or demonstrative pronoun: this, that, those, these. Now if we further categorize this, then this and these are called as near demonstrative, and that and those are known as far demonstratives. So if you say this is a book, this is my book, this is a good book. Now this is a near demonstrative. If you say these are good books, again near demonstrative. That table is broken. Now that is a far demonstrative. Or those papers are black. I mean, I'm just giving an example. Then we have some interrogative pronouns. Those are question, who, what, when, right? So you understand, I hope you have the basic understanding of these things and you remember these things. Okay. Now we all know that adjectives are the words that tell us more about the noun. For instance, a cute little child, or a soft bed, or a tough man, or an intelligent girl, intelligent woman. So they tell us more about the noun. They tell us the quality. They describe the noun. They tell us more about the noun. Now they can be further classified into attributive adjectives and predicative adjectives. Now, attributive adjectives basically follow the noun they modify. For example, the black dog is barking. Now here in this sentence, we all know dog is the noun. and black is describing the dog. So black is the adjective. So when the adjective comes before the noun, um, um, they are describing, that is attributive adjective. On the other hand, predicative adjective modifies the subject of the sentence. For example, the wall is purple, the book is amazing, the house is beautiful. Now here the noun is coming first, and after the verb there is an adjective, right? But if I say a beautiful house, right? So that it would be attributive adjective. But there are few words that can only be used in one position. For instance, you'd always say she's asleep, right? She is asleep. Now she is the noun or a pronoun, and asleep is the adjective. You will never say an asleep woman, because that is not correct. So asleep will always be used in a predicative position. You will never say an asleep woman, right? Or you'll say he's still alive. Now he is the noun, alive is an adjective or a complement, but you'll never say an alive man, right? Or she is alone. So she again noun, and alone will come after the noun only in the predicative position. You'll never say an alone girl, right? You can say a lonely woman, but you will never say an alone girl, right? So alone or asleep, or words like these are, they only appear in predicative position. Similarly, there are few words that will always come in attributive position. For instance, a mere scratch, यानी मामूली सी खराश, ठीक है, तो उसको कहते हैं a mere scratch. अब ऐसा नहीं होगा कि you say the scratch was mere, ठीक है, so that would be wrong. So mere cannot be used in a predicative position. Mere adjective is always used in an attributive position. ठीक है, तो ये बेसिक एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है. आप हमेशा याद रखें कि एडजेक्टिव जो है वो आपको नाउन के बारे में उसको एक्सपेंड करता है उसके बारे में. ठीक है, एक और चीज जो राइटिंग के हवाले से बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है वो ये कि आपको प्लेसमेंट ऑफ एडजेक्टिव पता हो. ठीक है, तो अब कुछ लोग जो है, अब एक सेंटेंस में अगर आपको 2 से या 3 से ज्यादा एडजेक्टिव्स यूज करने हैं या एक से ज्यादा एडजेक्टिव यूज करना है, तो कौन सा एडजेक्टिव पहले आएगा और कौन सा बाद में आएगा, तो वो पूरा सेंटेंस गलत हो जाता है अगर आपकी प्लेसमेंट गलत है, right? So this is the placement of adjective. This is the order that you have to follow. So you'll be referring to size, then the general description or your opinion, the age, little or the adjective little, the shape, the color, the material, origin, purpose, and then comes emotion, adjective of personality. Now actually these all adjectives will not definitely normally come in one sentence. So but maybe 2 of them or 3 of them you would, maybe you have to use more than one adjective in a single sentence. So what will be the order? Now can you just think of some example that in which you incorporate these different adjectives and you place them in correct order? For example, okay, I'll give you an example. I love that really big old green antique car that is always parked at the end of the street. Now there are so many adjectives. Really is an adjective, big, old, green, antique. Now if you say really, obviously the general description, big, big is the size. Okay, so really is yeah, that is an intensifier basically. So that will come first, then comes the size, big, then comes the age, old, then comes the color, green, then comes the antique car, right? So now again, if you say my sister adopted a beautiful big white bulldog, right? So beautiful, the general description. Big, uh, the size, the big, the age or the adjective in that way, and white is the color, and then comes the bulldog. So similarly, if you say the house is green and red, um, okay, um, then we have a wonderful old Italian clock, right? So we have wonderful, the general description, old, and then we have origin, Italian, and then we have the noun, that is clock, right? Or you say an amazing new American movie. So amazing is a general description. Then we have new, that is the age, and then we have American, that is the origin. So an amazing new American movie. If you change the order and you say a new American amazing movie, that is incorrect. So please start practicing the order of adjectives too. Okay, now we have adverbs, and adverbs are basically the words that modify the verb phrase. They, if verb tells you about an action that is going on, adverb tells you more about that action. They basically modify that verb, right? For example, if you're saying adverbs of manner, they come after the verb. She writes. Now, this is again a complete sentence. She is the subject and writes is the verb. So a sentence could be considered complete if it has a subject and a verb. So if you say she writes well, now here writes is the verb and well is telling about the way she writes, right? So it is telling us more about the verb. So she writes well, writes is a verb and well is an adverb, right? Okay. So similarly, another example, he gave her the money, gave is the verb, reluctantly. So although he gave it, but he was reluctant to give it, right? So you're telling the manner in which he has given her the money, right? Or you say, she sings really well. So well is an adverb. Or you say, she cooks well, or you say she goes to gym reluctantly, again reluctantly. So that is telling you about the manner or in which the action has been performed. Okay. um Now adverbs of place, if there is no object, these verbs are placed after the verb. For example, he lives abroad. Now lives is the verb and abroad is the adverb. Or he lives nearby, right? So lives again is a verb and nearby is an adverb. So it's an adverb of place. Or adverb of time, which are usually placed at the very beginning or at the very end of the clause. You can either say eventually he came, eventually in the end, and he came eventually. So adverb of time, right? Or you can say he woke up late, right? So late, or he woke up early. So adverbs of time. Then we have, okay, now you might get confused between, adverb of time or maybe degree or frequency. So try to have a very clear idea of the difference between them, right? So if it's adverb of frequency, it is placed after the simple sentences to be and before the simple tense of all other verb. He's always on time for meals. Now the words like always or sometimes or rarely or frequently, these are adverbs of frequency, or at times, words like these. So if you say he is always on time, is the verb, and always on time, always is telling you the frequency. Or if you say they sometimes stay up all night, now stay up is a verb, and sometimes is telling you that how frequent, कितना frequency से वो ये काम करते हैं. So sometimes is the adverb of frequency. Then we have adverbs of degree. So or you say, okay, now frequency mein I have yet another example. She barely visits her grandparents. Now visits is a verb, but before visits barely yani bahut hi kam. So mushkil se, so barely is an adverb of frequency. Or she hardly completes her work on time, which means bahut hi no, hardly is not frequency in this sense, but barely can be considered a frequency, adverb of frequency. Now adverbs of degree, basically they modifies an adjective or another adverb. It is placed before the adjective or the adverb. So if I say you are absolutely right, which means you are 100% right, so I'm telling you the degree to which you're right, so that is known as adverb of degree. I'm always ready, I am completely fine, right? I am totally shocked, right? So words like these are degree, adverbs of degree. I hope this makes sense to you. Okay, we all know that what do prepositions do? We all know that a preposition introduces a noun or a pronoun or a phrase or clause functioning in the sentence as a noun. So the word or the word group that preposition introduces is its object. So these are just the few examples. The book is on the table. The spider crawls slowly along the railing. The dog is hiding under the porch because it knows it will be punished for chewing up the new pair of shoes. But this is the exhaustive list of preposition, right? So about, above, across, after, against, along, among, around, at, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, beyond, by, down, during, except, for, from, in, into, like, off, on, over, past, since, through, throughout, to, toward. So this is the complete list, and you must know the correct usage or the correct placement or in which context each of them are used. Okay. Now, you remember I taught you about the different types of sentence structure, the simple sentence, the compound sentence, and the complex sentence, and the compound complex sentence. And in that, I told you about conjunctions. So I would just try to, reinforce that idea. And by now, I know that you already know the types of conjunction. There are two main types of conjunction, the coordinating conjunction and how you differentiate between the two of them. That a coordinating conjunction would always join two independent sentences. I am teaching, my brother is sleeping. Now, these two are independent sentences, and I am going to connect two of them. I am teaching and my brother is sleeping. So because and is connecting two independent sentences, it is a coordinating conjunction. Or if I say, I will sleep after the class, or I will make dinner. Now, I will sleep after the class is also an independent sentence, and I will make dinner or I'll cook dinner is also an independent sentence. Now, if I connect both of these sentences with or, it's a coordinating conjunction, right? So you need to know the correct placement, the correct type of these conjunctions. So I will sleep after the class, or I'll cook dinner. But the subordinating conjunction will always join two clauses. One, the dependent clause, it will join the dependent clause with the independent one, or the independent clause with the dependent one. Either order is correct. For example, although I was a bit lazy, I managed to attend the class. Right? Now, although is a subordinating conjunction. although is making this sentence dependent. Although I was busy. Now this is a dependent clause. It doesn't convey complete meaning until and unless there is a main independent clause attached to it, right? So subordinating conjunctions always join two clauses, dependent and independent clauses. So there are again numbers of examples like although, because, even though, when, whenever, unless. So there are many. And this is an easier one. If you read novels, stories, this is very common. And this is a word class interjection, which is an exclamatory word, and it expresses emotions, right? So, wow, look at the sunset. Goodness, what a cute baby, right? So it basically, there are these are the words that expresses your feelings or your emotions. That's it. Now here we are on adjectives. Now articles. Now understanding the types of articles and the correct usage of this article is very important. So articles are used to indicate whether the noun used in the sentence is general or specific, and they are again classified into two types. So a and an are indefinite article. Why? Because they indicate again something non-specific when we are not referring to anything specific. Or an definite article is used to indicate something very specific. For example, if I say there is a cat under the table. Now here I have used two articles, a and the. Now there is a cat. Now it's not something specific, a cat, any cat, right? Under the table. Why? Because I have this one table in my room, and obviously I'm referring to that table. So I am referring to a specific table, the table that is not placed anywhere or any table. I am referring to the table that is there in my room. So the is the article which is used to refer to something specific. So people use the unnecessarily in your writing. You're not going to use the every time in every sentence, right? Some of the people have even written the Pakistan. Now, obviously, Pakistan, again, I'm going to discuss some of the rules. Pakistan is a country and it's the name of a specific country, but you don't use the with the name of country until unless there is again an exception. I'll be telling you that. So when is the used? Please try to understand that. When the object or group of word is unique or considered to be unique. So for referring to something unique. So the earth, the sea, the stars, etc. Right? Before a noun which has become definite as a result of being mentioned a second time. Okay, now I gave you the example. I just gave you the example. There is a cat under a table. Right? Now I have referred to a cat. Now there is a second sentence. The cat is making a lot of noise. Now the cat, why I'm using the in the second sentence? Because I have already introduced a cat in the first sentence, and now I'm referring to the cat that is under the table. So it has become specific. So in the second sentence, I'll use the article the. So yeah, for example, okay, I'll explain again. I am saying there is a cat under the table. The cat is making a lot of noise. Now, when I'm using the in the second sentence, I am referring to that specific cat that is there under the table. So you understand. For example, my friend gave me a book to read last week. My friend gave me a book last week. Now, the book was amazing. Or the book was worth reading. Now, a book, she gave me a book. I am probably not naming that book. Now I'm telling you more about the book, the same book that my friend gave me. So I said, my friend gave me a book last week. The book was amazing. I'm referring to the same book that my friend gave me. I'm telling you more about the same book. So here, the will be used, right? Okay. Now it is also used before certain proper noun, names of seas, rivers, group of island, chains of mountain, plural names of countries, deserts, For example, the Atlantic, the Netherlands, the Thames, the Sahara. Okay, and also use before names consisting of adjective plus of. For example, the Gulf of Mexico. Now I said it's never used. You don't write Pakistan with the. The Pakistan is beautiful. That is totally incorrect. But obviously, you say the United States of America. Why? Because this consists of an adjective and of. United States, United adjective, States of is there, and then comes the noun. So in this context, the is used. The is also used before names consisting of adjective. For example, the Arabian Sea. Now, sea is the noun and Arabian is the adjective. That is why the is used, the Arabian Sea. The high street, right? It is also used before proper nouns consisting of adjective plus noun. For instance, it is used with the National Gallery, the Tower of London, right? So before proper nouns consisting of adjective, right? Now there are certain situations in which the is never used before names of places, except for the places that I have already discussed. So the Karachi, you're never going to say that. It's incorrect. Before abstract nouns, except when they are used in a particular sense. So, for example, abstract noun is love, honesty, or kindness. But if you say the love of my life, now here I'm referring to the specific form of love, right? So here you can say the. Similarly, the love that she has for those orphan children is it's remarkable or something like that. So you're referring to something very specific. Okay. Or before names of meals, for example, the Scots have porridge for breakfast, not for the breakfast, right? Or before names of games. He plays golf, he plays football, he plays cricket, not the cricket, the football, or the golf, right? It's incorrect. Before parts of body or articles of clothing, then as they normally prefer a possessive adjective. Raise your right hand, not raise the right hand. Raise your right hand. He took off his coat, not the coat. So you probably use possessive adjective when you're referring to any part of your body or any article of clothing. You don't use the in that context. All right. Now that's it. So I hope concepts related to word class are clear. You already had an idea. You can consider it as a kind of revision. I will be including this topic in your MCQs formative assessment. So see you in the next video. Thank you.